Hello, welcome back to the podcast, or welcome if this is your first time tuning in. You've picked a good episode, and you might be a little bit confused or like, what the hell is going on with this podcast title? But it's true. Doing a stool test literally changed my life back in 2017. So, in the episode, I'm going to go through what this stool test was, what it looked at, how it could potentially benefit you, an exciting new current offer that I have for one-to-one clients. But to begin, I think it might be good to cover a bit of my backstory with my health and just keep you up to date if you're new here or if you just want a little refresher. I won't go into everything because that'll be a 5 hour long episode, but the most important things that you need to know in regards to gut health specifically. So I'd say my health issues really kicked off a couple of years after I left high school. So in the UK, you leave high school at about age 16, and my health issues started around 17 or 18 with me starting to over exercise. I was going to the gym, I was losing weight, I was trying to diet, just really bad mindset with body image, like a lot of young girls go through at one point. Throughout school, I wasn't really too bothered. I wasn't struggling with my periods. My skin was always super clear, but then because of my own silly actions, I took it a little bit too far with the lifestyle overhaul and eventually lost my period, messed up my hormones completely. And to help fix those things, also I thought I went on the birth control pill, which did manage some of those things. Like my skin was pretty clear, my hair loss slowed down. It never actually grew. That was another problem, but it didn't seem to shed as much. And I was having a bleed every month, but it wasn't a real period. So it managed those things, but made everything else 10 times worse, including my gut health. And then at age 19, this was in 2017, this was a pretty life-changing year, but I went to work in the US at summer to be a camp counselor in a children's summer camp. I'd always wanted to do that and finally got the opportunity. I was working in Pennsylvania and I was a Pilates and aerobics instructor. I'm now obsessed with Pilates. And at the time, I'd never done it before and I didn't actually enjoy it, but they just have you teaching like loads of random activities. So that's what I was doing for the summer. And I was not still treating my body well on that trip. I was trying to be fit and healthy, but doing it in the complete wrong way. And on that trip, towards the end, the last few weeks, I had food poisoning or stomach bugs twice, very badly. And I think the first time it was from the contaminated water of the camp because spotted throughout the camp there were these wells that we were meant to fill our water bottles up with, and the water was literally brown. The food quality was also not great. I mean, the scrambled eggs in the morning for breakfast were just made from a powder mixed with water or something. It was insane. And then in New York City, I did a couple of weeks there at the end. I think I got food poisoning from one of the hot food counters. So that was great. And also that trip, I'm pretty sure, is where I contracted Lyme disease and unknowingly was also spending the summer away from my water damaged home back in the UK. So my childhood home that I'd lived in since I was 4 years old probably had mold the entire time, but there was around this time a water incident where a pipe burst under the floor and flooded it out, and it was detected, but I don't think it was dealt with properly. So once I got back to the UK, things really deteriorated. I was back once again in that mouldy home after having a little bit of a break from it, and combined with all of the other disruption that had gone on, just the intense working hours at the camp too, not nourishing my body. It had been a hot summer back in the UK, so it had worsened the problem with the mold. My gut was an absolute mess. When I got back, I couldn't eat or drink anything without severe bloating and pain, and I knew something had really changed on that trip. It also made me realize the importance of nutrition and food quality because when I was in the US, I was literally craving fresh food, nutrition, vegetables, and on the camp every night there was literally one tray of vegetables to feed about 300 people. So I would rush over, I would get as much as I could, and the rest of it was just really poor quality food, like you can expect at an American summer camp for kids. And then in New York, when I finally got access to amazing health food places and health food stores, I really noticed a difference just within a couple of weeks with my energy and just feeling the difference, getting some minerals and vitamins into my body. So that really awoken me to the real importance of food. And I was moving away from caring about my body image, and I didn't really care what I weighed at that point. I was like, I just want to be able to eat food and not feel bloated, and I just want to feel energized again. So back when I got home, straight away, I was like, this needs to be resolved because I'm already like in so much pain and it's affecting every area of my life. I still wasn't feeling good in terms of like hormone health and energy. And I was on the pill at that point, but I was just doing some Googling and I found a nutritionist in Manchester, near to where I live. And I started also looking into studying nutrition for myself. I found the college that I studied at, the College of Naturopathic Medicine, and immediately just knew it was the perfect fit. It all sounded amazing. I didn't even know this was a job, but it all just sounded so perfect and just in alignment with what I was looking for. And I just, yeah, felt like I'd done this before. It just felt so like on track for me. So I started to inquire about studying and went to see the nutritionist for the first time. And it turns out that nutritionist was the director of studies at the college as well at the time. So it's really crazy how it all worked out. Talk about alignment. And alongside these things, I was not only going down the holistic route, I was still trying to persevere with the National Health Service, but I'd already had a bad experience from before my trip to America because I was struggling with low iron levels, the hair loss, and my I'd already like started inquiring about my gut because it wasn't great. And it was really no different this time round. I was referred to a gastroenterologist, told that diet has no impact on my symptoms. And even though I wasn't a nutritionist at the time, that just didn't make sense to me. That was immediately red flag. This guy doesn't know what he's talking about. How could the food that you eat not impact your body and your symptoms and your energy levels? They also said things like everyone has bacteria overgrowth in the small intestine, which we do have bacteria, but it shouldn't be in excessive amounts. That's a condition called SIBO, and it's a big cause of IBS. Just everything was very outdated and incorrect, and I just had a bad experience. So I was like, okay, that's me done. I've ruled out that I have inflammatory bowel disease and something really seriously wrong, like cancer, but I'm now just being diagnosed with IBS. So let me find an alternative to that because that's not gonna run in my world. I knew that something was off. So this nutritionist basically suggested that we run some lab tests to figure out what's going on. And I was like, yes, sign me up, whatever I need. And the first test that I did with her was a stool test. Things have definitely continued to advance in the functional lab testing world since 2017, and they are now even more accurate. But that was the first time in years that I actually got some real answers as to what's going on in my body. I've been going from like, nothing's wrong, your blood tests are normal, you just have depression, acne is normal, you have PCOS, just giving all of these diagnoses, but no real answers as to why. Like, why have I just developed them? I've been super healthy throughout my teenage years. Why is it just in these years, these few years after leaving school, that I've developed like multiple different things? And not once was I asked about my nutrition or what had changed in my life, what exercise was I doing. It's pretty insane, but that test showed that I had two parasites, major dysbiosis, which is bacterial imbalances, too many bad bacteria, not enough good bacteria. I had weak immune system. There's a marker called secretory IgA, which is still the lowest that I've ever seen it at. It was something like a 20, and it should be in the thousands range just for reference. And my body was just so depleted. I had candida overgrowth, I had inflammation, I had low stomach acid, low digestive enzymes. Literally all that could go wrong was going wrong in my body at that time. But I was actually happy. I finally had answers and some sort of plan of action to address it, and it wasn't straightforward in my situation. It definitely took years for my gut to heal because of other complications with the mold, the Lyme, my nervous system. I had histamine issues that I wasn't aware of for a while. But the reason that I'm sharing this is because I think functional lab tests like that can be life-saving. God only knows where I would have been right now if I hadn't have found naturopathic medicine, functional medicine, whatever you want to call it. And I was still just stuck in the conventional medicine hamster wheel of go to this person for this, go to the gastro for this. No one's communicating with each other. I would either be dead, honestly, on 6 different medications and just getting by, or chronically sick and depressed. I even took the lab results of this gut test to my doctor because I was like, oh my God, we found something. Took them to my doctor in my little file of notes, and I was basically just dismissed and told that these things are normal. Parasites aren't a problem in first world countries. I was just requesting at the time antibiotics because I knew that getting rid of this bacterial overgrowth could really help my digestive symptoms. And I just requested a course of antibiotics, but they declined, and I ended up having to pay private. I had to see a Harley Street specialist to get the prescription, and then the antibiotics themselves were £200. And they still didn't work because I wasn't addressing it holistically enough. I've learned so much from my own experience and I don't regret it. Everything happens for a reason, and I wouldn't be the practitioner that I am today if I would have just found that I had sebum parasites, treated them in a month, and then been good to go. I might not even be doing this as a career, if so. There are other functional lab tests that I love as well, like the HTMA, the organic acid urine test, the Dutch adrenal and hormone panel, which, by the way, if you're a practitioner listening or a current healthcare student, nutritionist, health coach, functional medicine practitioner, and you're wanting to learn about these tests specifically for better client results and just a more successful business. And I am running a practitioner group mentorship program in January 2025, and I would love to have you be part of that. But stool testing will always have a special place in my heart for just giving me hope and giving me answers. For once, I didn't feel like my body was broken or that symptoms were all in my head. I had visible evidence on that piece of paper. I had the classic signs of poor gut health: excessive gas, burping, acid reflux, bloating, pain, constipation, undigested food in my stool, loose stools, and then all of the signs of leaky gut, histamine reactions, food sensitivities, acne, joint pain. But even if you don't have any digestive symptoms, but you do have anxiety, mental health issues, hormone issues like PMS, fertility struggles, urinary tract infections, or reoccurring thrush, you always need to investigate the gut. You could still have a lot of imbalances in there, and it just manifests in different ways for different people. Actually, some of the worst stool test results that I've ever seen have been in people with the most minimal gut symptoms. They have never struggled with constipation, they don't get bloated, they don't get any pain, but they have the most dysbiosis. They have 5 parasites, major bacterial overgrowth, severe leaky gut. How interesting is that? We have to remember the gut is home to our immune system, and it's also where we digest and absorb our nutrients so that we can build hormones, we can produce energy, we can build neurotransmitters. Disease or health, whichever way you want to look at it, really does begin in the gut. And this is why I'm so excited to announce my first ever Black Friday offer with you all. In previous years, I've thought about doing a little sale or a bonus, and I'd be like, no, it's like, there's so many things out there, but I've had clients now who are like, I bought this thing on Black Friday sale, this mini course or these probiotics, and then they just don't get the results. So I would rather offer you something and have an option for you to spend your money and get a really amazing discount or bonus for it to actually impact your life long term. So anyone who signs up to my one-to-one coaching program over the next few weeks, so it has to be before Friday, 20th of December, which is when I finish for Christmas break, you're going to receive a complimentary GI MAP Stool Test, which is the best one out there, with detailed interpretation, which is worth £575 in total. This is already on top of a hair tissue mineral analysis that's included as standard in this package. So my 2 top functional lab tests, so that you can really get some answers, figure out what's going on at the root of your symptoms. You get that to complete straight away after your first consultation. And then once the results are back a few weeks later, we have a big 90-minute in-depth lab review session where I can cover all of the different markers that have been tested, put the puzzle pieces together in a way that you can understand. And then obviously your protocols that I create will be based on these unique results and working to balance things naturally across the entire 6-month package. This is a limited time offer, and I only have a limited number of test kits available. And it's open to pretty much anyone worldwide, definitely the UK, Europe, US. But if you're in a country and you just want me to double check, I can, if I can send out the kit to you, just get in touch, but it's pretty much the majority of countries. The HTMA can be done from anywhere in the world, so that's just a hair sample that you send off in the post, and it will help me to look at your mineral imbalances, which impacts, again, everything. There's such the foundations for health, hormone production, detox. So you're getting 2 amazing functional lab tests included in this already amazing package. And there are payment plans available and so many other benefits within the Hormone Reset package, including lifetime access to my client community and my Hormone Reset library. There's already over 25 hours of education in there covering mindset, subconscious reprogramming, nutrition, detox. There's even some workouts in there to support you between sessions and also into the future. And then you get access to like live group calls. In recent weeks, I've done Q&As, I've done a manifestation call, and I've done a Q&A and like a breathwork call with people. So I'm always adding extra value to your package. I will link this one-to-one package in the show notes so you can see everything that's included. And then if you want to go ahead and claim this Black Friday stool test bonus, there is an application form on my website, or you can schedule a 30-minute enrollment call with me if you want to chat further. And then if I think you're a good fit and we're happy to go ahead, I can get you booked in. I still have space for 2 new one-to-one clients if you want to start before the end of the year, so before the 20th of December. So if you get in quick, you won't need to wait. But then if these spaces have been filled, or if you would rather start your coaching sessions in January, if that works better for you, that's absolutely possible too. So you just need to sign up to the package to claim this bonus before the 20th of December, whether it's a payment plan option or painful. There is an extra bonus if it's a painful option with a 60-minute mindset call, life coaching session. We can use it however you want. I've had clients do a personalized EFT practice or hypnosis recording. We've done life coaching, NLP techniques, so you can really use that to however you would like. But then if you prefer to get started with the sessions in January and just come back after Christmas and New Year has died down, we can definitely do that. If you want to learn more about the GI MAP stool test, I'm now going to cover that in detail because it's a very comprehensive report and I don't think people realize how much data it actually gives you. So on the first page, I'm just doing this from like my visual because I've seen so many now. I must have interpreted definitely over 100, maybe into the multiple hundreds at this point of this test. So page 1 is a pathogens page, and sometimes the odd big pathogen does come back, but with my clients, they more have lower grade infections. So things like Giardia can show up on the first page. But if you've ever done a stool test from your doctor, some of these markers are probably what have been tested before. But they'll say those are clear, so everything's fine. But that's just one of the pages. So we'll look at things like E. coli, Giardia, Salmonella on the first page, but they might come back positive, but 80-90% of the time that page is actually fine. Page 2 is looking at H. pylori, which I did an entire episode about a few weeks ago. It's a bacteria that lives in the stomach and it can be linked to a lot of digestive symptoms, but also other, they're called extra gastrointestinal symptoms like acne, rosacea are big ones, thyroid issues, anemia, anything like that can be linked to H. pylori. So you're going to be able to see if you have that bacteria or not, and if so, it's really important to be treated if you're symptomatic in those ways. And then we look at your beneficial flora, so your good bacteria. You might be familiar with lactobacillus, bifidobacterium. Those are just 2 of many. They're really important ones. And some people, because of years of antibiotics, stress, poor diet, restricted diets, they end up with low beneficial flora, and this makes them more susceptible to pathogens. So the good guys and defenses are low, and that allows for pathogens, yeast, bad bacteria to proliferate. But you might have been on years of antibiotics and actually don't have that problem. So this is why testing is really important. You might assume that you have bacterial overgrowths or a parasite because of your symptoms, but you might not have that issue. You might have something else going on. So test, don't guess, just for more speedy results. Then we look at dysbiotic bacteria, so an autoimmune trigger bacteria. So these don't mean that you have an autoimmune condition when you have them. It just shows that there is a correlation between the two. So people who have multiple sclerosis, psoriasis, Hashimoto's thyroiditis, these autoimmune conditions that have higher levels of certain types of bacteria like Klebsiella or Citrobacter. So we get to look at those. And it's not a direct SIBO test, but I have run them side by side so often now that it correlates pretty well. So when there's a lot of these bacteria overgrown, then it can pretty much indicate that you have SIBO. So I don't diagnose, I'm not a doctor, but your labs might indicate certain problems like that. Then there is a section on candida, viruses, worms, and parasites. And they can show up, like my very first stool test showed up with very clear parasites, but even once they cleared, I still think I had parasites because it's testing maybe 6 of hundreds of different species. And yeah, parasites can be quite sneaky and stubborn and might not actually be showing up on the test. Similar to candida and viruses, it's not a complete gold standard test for those things. There's actually no perfect test for them. But if they do come back, then it's pretty significant. But yeah, it's not just because they're negative doesn't rule it out completely. And then it gets to look at your digestive and absorptive markers. So there's a marker of fat malabsorption called steatocrit. When that's elevated or present, it shows that you're not absorbing your fat properly. So I'm looking at your liver, your gallbladder, your bile flow, and there's a marker called elastase, which reflects your overall digestive enzyme production. So how you're breaking down protein, carb, and fat. A lot of people have weakened digestive enzymes. It could be because of the H. pylori or the bacterial imbalances. It could be due to zinc deficiency. You might have low stomach acid as a result. So it's more of a symptom. But in the meantime, you could be a good candidate for digestive enzymes. If it's the steatocrit and fat malabsorption, you might want to do some ox bile. So I can really tailor the supplements then based on what you need. The other markers, there's things like your immune system in the gut, which for me was really suppressed. For some people, it goes the other way, and it just shows their immune system is really responding to something in the gut. Maybe it's something that you're eating. There is a potential gluten sensitivity marker on there called anti-gliadin antibody. And for me, it has shown up as positive before, and I know I have a gluten sensitivity, but it's not enough to be the only test that you do. Sometimes it's a food elimination and symptom tracking to see how you feel off gluten. It's going to be way more accurate. And if you've not been eating gluten regularly, then it's not going to be that accurate either. But it just adds to the case file and just gives me more information to be working on. There's inflammatory markers on there called calprotectin, which can help to differentiate IBS versus inflammatory bowel disease. We want that to be as low as possible. And yeah, it's just an amazing test overall and so much information in there. I can see if I can put a sample report in the show notes for you, just so you can see it's a multiple page report. But that was a nice overview. So it's looking at your immune system, your microbiome, it's looking at your breakdown of food. It could be that you also have certain bacterial overgrowths that produce histamine or interfere with the clearance of estrogen out the gut. There's a marker actually on that last page called beta-glucuronidase, and a lot of people with estrogen dominance have an elevation in that marker. And that means rather than you clearing out the estrogen once it's been used, the gut bacteria is getting in the way of that, and it's recirculating in the body. And when it recirculates, it becomes more of a nasty, problematic type of estrogen, which can lead to PMS, heavy periods, weight gain, and all of the hormonal symptoms like that. So as you probably realize after me sharing all of that information, this current Black Friday bonus is not one to be missed, especially if you have been considering working with me for a while now. This is honestly the best time to sign up because it's going to be the best deal all year round. And just think how good it's going to be going into 2025, seeing those improvements with your health, feeling fully supported and guided throughout those 6 months. I would love you to send across any questions that you have via email. It's inquiries with an E at Viva Natural Health, or you can DM me on Instagram at Viva Natural Health. And I look forward to hopefully working with you very soon. Remember, this is a limited time deal. I only have a certain amount of test kits that I'm going to send out, and you've only got until the 20th of December. So get in touch as soon as possible. Have a lovely week, whatever you're up to. And remember, investing in your health will always be worth it because without your health, you have nothing. Have a good day, everyone.
I really hope you enjoyed this episode. If you did, I would love for you to leave me a rating and review on your podcast app, as this helps to support the show and it allows it to reach more people with this valuable information. Come and say hi over on Instagram. I'm at Viva Natural Health. And if you haven't already, check out my website, vivanaturalhealth.co.uk, for tons more free resources and to discover how I could support you further. I currently offer one-on-one consultation packages if you want my top level support, then more affordable group programs and self-paced online courses. So there really is something for everyone. Enjoy the rest of your day, and I'll see you back here next week for another episode.